Hey, Jody, what is that? That your stick? Hmm? Where'd it go? Yes. Yes.